아위바지 상가 짜시들레 아위바지 상가 호 약합소소는 죽거든요. 게드바 다른 주티는 쇼파 탄제라더니 도마 짜시들레요.
So first Dashidele to all the Sangha of the various countries in the world who are joining us today for this Dharma session. Dashidele.
Teniterenge, muso chiude mare, chiude mare, non iteri, wangri, muso de lota partire Obama che dipte, Obama si so tesini tata, muso subocare cebami, te brighteni lonto do buji, longo cini longo cesene, cebami, cevati Obama. dollarsi slaka jogo yo mari chinda su yiga chokku yore ri choba che kang ri sang ma je ba do chokku yore ri sang je da kari jo sang je ri tuwa cha cha ri jamza joji kaga yo mari ri rang pa de chi tabi jam cha de ri ri cheu pa mi ri chewang jam de yore ri che chen chang la so wa ji ya yore ri de la Lama tabi 소속 듣습니다. 만으로 제일 소속 자득랑 나로지 들이 때브르기 지로지라는 소속이 지로지.
So this Dharma assembly today is an empowerment, and every year here we are practicing the Buddha Amitabha mantra accumulation, and actually, for those who are alive, Buddha Amitabha is Amitayos. So if you're familiar with the various ornaments of a Sambhogakaya in the form of Amitayos, at the time of, for the benefit of those who are alive, and then at the time of death, we rely on Amitabha, but actually, they are the same. Actually, there is no need to change the deity. Any of those deities will protect you in this life and all future lives until attaining enlightenment. And then what happens when you attain enlightenment? At that point, there is no separation between someone to protect and a protector. So now, because we are also Amitayos is the one with Amitabha, so for this reason, this in a way also is longevity empowerment, so it is just like receiving a long life empowerment too. So therefore, we will also take a long life pill, and you disciples at home, whatever blessing pills like money pills, nectar pills you have, please get them out, prepare them, and for the sake of interdependence, today eat that pill as a longevity, a long life pill.
장미바 레 뇽라 가리들이 상제되는 뜻마다 요말에 자타 비시로도 뜻지 소고요래 대지야 공로 오들이 뚫나테터 장미바래 디나들이 동적 가르들이 동다트리 야게들이 제라 제말이 밖에 왕듯이 손이더니 나다 바바 저 소도 요과 세왕데 바바도 도망라서 왕고 토요제데 세왕고 주라고래스 이제 왕지 나도 그네지 가리들 라니 사고스도 나가 왕성 오 딜라티니 심지게 풍감 잼치데 미니 답고살 미지오베 대하공 왕지 돈에 미지 왕지 대하공데 오 라니 사고스도 나가 왕지 이 민주가 하고 별메도 사우디 사차다 전에들 메도 윤디 주요 하고는 선대식 뭐 그런 사제게 제면이나 이 제라들이랑 사고스도 나고 왕지 이 사고 때문에 강리 살려 그래야 되나 Yik, the Kotaman, Jeddick, Jatavation on the tick, the Yishi, dinner, Saji Gomba, Langutani, Totava, Little Saji Tapti, tick up the Matale de Bati, become saying Namkari, Namkari, tick the Mangori dinner. That's sweet I do it for you. Namka tick it dinner, Namki Machapsa your marriage. Namka, the marriage, Namka comes from over to what your marriage. Get our Hako, the Hakoya, the Nero Doruchuba, Tomo Wang song. Then Tato Wang, Tamchel, the Dongrang, Lida Lako, and Major Hako. When the Lako Tamchi and Tato Tonda with Deva, Tickle Deva Hako. Tonda with Dova Tickle dinner, Tetri, no Tickle, Shima, and there is no one has totally Toman, Jasung, the Rajina, calling over Teta. Shima, Saint Tongwani. The Sartong Namkata, the Yungdi, the Chalete, the good song top, Yungdi, Chalete, the Ramji, the Seto Watilla, the meaning with the Namkala Pena, not in the Nimadawaras Wakazakan Ramada, the Veritini, Nero Dorjopa told you once, don't one time she was Sawa, Dong Missamba, Tachiba Kari, Gina, you are married. Rang the same need the hack on it. Mammy Sartasama, my Gini Sarda Yuba, my some treaty Rang semi Rang hack or the Nero Dory, Nero Dory Chupa to Javanga, Rangatawa, the John hack or something, then Tartoko Wanga.
Maybe there are a few Sangha members who are new to Buddhism, and if you don't really understand the meaning of the empowerment, then you might also think that all of these deities are separate, and there are so many deities, too many deities, but this is not how it is. Although there are many deities, there can be many deities. There are as many deities as there are sentient beings, if one would expand on them. If one summarizes them, then they are all one. There is just one Buddha, really. Within the expanse of primordial wisdom, all the Buddhas are one. So when you understand that, then you understand that if you elaborate, then there are limitless deities, and if you summarize, then they're all one. So it is that ultimately there is only a single expanse. And Milarepa also explained the characteristics of empowerment, and he said that first, having the vase put onto your crown is the outer empowerment. So when the vase or the Torma and so on is placed onto our crown, that's just the outer empowerment and like an introduction. And what is the actual inner meaning of this? The actual meaning of the empowerment. So Milarepa said that to meditate on your own body as the Deity is the inner empowerment. So that is to understand that the aggregates, sense sources, and elements of all sentient beings can ripen or mature. They can mature into the Deity. They can become completely pure. So therefore, the empowerment is also referred to as the ripening empowerment. So seeing one's own body as the Deity is the inner empowerment. And so, for example, it is to recognize that when you have a seed of a flower and it encounters earth and water and so forth, then the qualities of the flower will grow. And so just like that, all beings possess Buddha nature. And recognizing that this can mature into the Deity by visualizing oneself as the Deity, practicing the Deity, understanding this is the inner empowerment. And then, even though many deities appear, where do they appear from? they arise from a single ground. In the Samantabhadra prayer, it speaks about that single ground, and that is Buddha nature. So within the expanse of primordial wisdom, all the Buddhas are one. This expanse of primordial wisdom is the enlightened mind of all the Buddhas. It is the ultimate view. And when that is realized, then one transcends all conceptions such as the extremes or limitations of thinking a Buddha is either one or many. Because the Buddha is just like space. And so when you look at space and you say it's there's just one space or there's many spaces, no one can actually say that. If you would claim that there is one space, then there's nothing, all things are pervaded by space, so anything can be space. And if you think that there's a multiplicity of space, then wherever you go, you find only one nature. So this was what needs to be understood during the empowerment. And then Milarepa said that the ultimate empowerment is when one actualizes the true natural state, the nature of one's mind. So first you understand that one's own body can mature into the Deity. And so then you understand that then all the deities are complete within one deity. They all have a single essence. And that is the essence of mind. And this single essence possesses the qualities of 5 wisdoms, appearing in different ways. So out of the space of emptiness appear the 5 wisdoms like a 5-colored rainbow light, appearing naturally in the sky. So these are the 5 wisdoms appearing like rainbows in the sky. And the sky itself is clear and empty by nature. And so when the mind ripens in this way, it ripens into its 5 qualities of enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. So one mind can ripen into these qualities. So just like in the sky, rainbows may appear, or clouds may appear. All sorts of things may appear. So when one realizes the nature of the mind, the natural state, that is the ultimate empowerment. And so in brief, the actual root of the empowerment is to recognize the view. And what is the view? It is the natural state of your mind. And it is nothing else. It means to understand the nature of the mind as it is. And when you realize it, then it is not like finding something new. It is also not something that you find somewhere else, but it's already your own mind. So you recognize your own mind as it actually is. And that is to receive the ultimate empowerment. So when you understand that this view, so then you have understood the ultimate fruition, the point of the empowerment.
어떻게 미세 릉아에서 민용나 어떻게 몇천당 천바 피셈 요바랑 시랍 요바 차는 거를 때라 딜릉아에서 되거든요. 레가들이 때라 릉아에서 민지 이제 민용을 내가 가르쳐요. 다들 매우디 제보래 용디 제보때 용디 내가 가르쳐 식을 딸 트레드 내가 지었대 트레드 차려래 사제 제바 트레드 랍 지어를 주디 랍다를 손을 보고 마미바 랍다를 마손을 보고 마미바래 랍다를 속도를 담는데 민바래 어때다를 세배때다를 대용디 제주 때다를 답이 저렇게 매지서나 랑 미니 마체들이 까바 장미가 세지 탐지 민바를 절절도 그요래 미지 용디 지지 랍다를 민용이야 되게 이라는 게 레소는 되니들이 rap들이 약하로 쏟이 있었다봐. 이 때문에 들이 때다 들이 나들이를 같이 했다봐. 어 때문에 들이 나가 나타들이 이제 동체했다봐. 때다 복지면 쏟아봐. 때다 차는 거요래. 세배 때다 그래.
So ripening, maturing and being immature. So in the unripe state, we have the 5 outer elements. And on the inner level, there are the 5 afflictive emotions in the minds of sentient beings. And when they ripen into the secret 5 wisdoms. And so then they ripen into the various manifestations of the 5 wisdoms. For example, within one Buddha, all of these qualities are complete. The enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. And generally speaking, enlightened form is the Buddha Vairochana. Enlightened speech is Amitabha. Enlightened mind is Akshobhya, enlightened qualities is Ratnasambhava, and enlightened activities are Moghasiddhi. And so in this sense, a Buddha is an embodiment of these 5 Buddha families, because the qualities of these are complete within a single Buddha. And we always mention that whenever we receive empowerment or blessings, there's this mantra, Om, Drum, and so on. So that is the consecrating mantra, the union of our 10 fingers that we have. And so in any case, when we ripen, according to the holy Dharma, the way one ripens according to the Dharma is sentient beings ripen or mature into Buddhas. And from a worldly perspective, just to give a mundane example, for example, a child who goes to school and studies well, when they mature into a person, then their body, speech, and mind matures in the world, then they become a good person who follows the laws and who wants to benefit others, who has great wisdom. So this is how body, speech, and mind may ripen in a mundane sense. And then once one is matured, then what does one do? So such a person possesses great qualities, and because they possess great qualities, they can engage in vast activities. And that is similar to the enlightened activities of a Buddha. And the activities of a Buddha are, of course, much vaster. But so in a mundane sense, if a child, for example, doesn't go to school and study, it will not mature. If it goes to school and studies, then it matures. So that's just an external example of how one matures and thereby develops qualities and then engages in various activities. So in the Holy Dharma, it is actually not only oneself that becomes matured, but through the Dharma, limitless sentient beings throughout many limitless of kalpas can become matured, ripened. So just like a person who matures into great qualities when they go to school, then also depending on their own personal karma and merit, ideally they might become someone who can rule over an entire country, care for an entire country, or if not, they could become someone who works and kind of governs over their state, or if not, then one becomes someone who is able to protect and care for the children and their own families. So that is just an outer example. And next we come to the history of the Amitabha empowerment. And so generally, wherever you are in the East or in the West, anyone who has entered a Buddhist path will have heard about this story, know about this story, and in particular, the Tibetans, in the Tibetan society, the practice of the Amitabha and his story is well known and widely spread. And so Tibetans know about the Amitabha story. So therefore, we are just going to read the history in English and not in Tibetan, because we don't have so much time and we don't want to waste the time. So now we're going to read the history. The empowerment to accomplish birth in the blissful realm of Sukhavati from the Dharma, Sky Dharma cycle. Guru Padmasambhava foretold, Labgye Torma, an emanation of Yeshe Tsogyal, who will cut through discursive thinking with a mind that is free from a fixed frame of reference, will appear at the copper-colored mountain. The Manjushri Root Tantra says, according to the Buddha's prophecy, accomplished masters and scholars of India and Tibet, such as Aryadeva, Padampa Sangye, and the Derden clairvoyant monk, recognized her as an emanation of the Great Mother. The wisdom Dakini, magic, imparted to her son, Gyalva Dundrup, the secret words of the Dakinis known as the 21 Samayas, wherein it says, if you aspire to attain Buddhahood swiftly, you should pray to be born in a pure Buddha realm. There exists limitless pure lands of unfathomable extent. Except for the blissful pure land of Sukhavati, in order to be born in the highest and other pure lands, you must eliminate the two obscurations completely and attain at least the 8th Bhumi. Just to be born in the middling pure lands, you must eliminate even the slightest obscuration of afflictive emotions and attain at least the path of meditation. Just to be born in the lowest pure land, you must destroy self-grasping and attain the path of seeing, the truth of selflessness. Unless you have attained the path of seeing, you will not be born in these pure lands. There may be some who take birth in a lower pure land, such as the Tushita heaven, even though they have not attained the path of seeing, but only if they have never committed even the slightest transgression of Samayas and vows, have abandoned all negative actions, have practiced perfect virtue, and have prayed fervently. But even then, it is difficult to be born there. These pure lands are not the birthplace of ordinary sentient beings with afflictive emotions. Since it is impossible for an ordinary being with afflictive emotions to be born in these Buddha realms, the Buddha Amitabha made an aspiration to create the Pure Land wherein anyone can be born. And this is the Pure Land of Sukhavati. Since this is the vow of the Protector Amitabha, you should immerse yourself fully in the practice to be born in Sukhavati. Free of doubts, hesitations, laziness, hopes, or fears, with certainty and fierce diligence, you should practice to be born in Sukhavati, visualizing it and remembering its excellent qualities. Why is the Pure Land of Sukhavati superior to other Pure Lands? It is because even ordinary beings with afflictive emotions can be born there. Once born there, all your wishes will be accomplished by merely thinking of them, and you will not be defiled by even the slightest obscuration and afflictive emotion. It is superior because from there you can travel to any other Buddha realm as you desire, and you will attain Buddhahood swiftly. Other than the Pure Land of Sukhavati, there is not another Pure Land with such qualities that can be reached so easily. It is thus critical to exert yourself in prayers to be born in Sukhavati. Similarly, the Sutra of the Sublime Buddha Amitabha says, through hearing Amitabha's name and dedicating your roots of virtue to be born in this land, you will be born there. Even if there are obscurations in your mind, they will not hinder you from going there, except if you have committed one of the 5 deeds without interval or abandoned the Dharma. According to Amitabha's aspiration, it is extremely easy to be born there. Once born there, you will not return to samsara. In this land, not even the sound of suffering is heard. In this land, you will attain enlightenment within a state of perfect happiness. Since there are no obstacles to attaining complete enlightenment, this practice is referred to as the closed path. However, if you are a good practitioner but fail to pray, it is uncertain whether or not you will be born there. The master Gunchu Yenlag said to the monk Churin, everything depends on aspirations. Whatever aspirations you make with a sincere intention will be accomplished accordingly. In whichever Pure Land you wish to be born after this life, whether in Sukhavati, Tushita, Akanishta, or at the feet of the glorious Guru, direct your prayers towards it. Supplicate the Guru and the 3 jewels. Invoke the activities of the Dakinis and Dharma protectors. Encourage mother sentient beings of the 6 classes to engage in virtue. Dedicate all virtues for this purpose. Now I have established the favorable conditions for this to be accomplished. The prayer of Sukhavati in the sadhana of the single principal deity Amitabha is widely spread in both the older and newer tantric systems. However, the complete empowerment and sadhana of the Pure Land did not exist before. On the 7th day of the Sakadawa of the female fire bird year, in the 31st Rabchung, the great emanation Mingyu Dorje, at the age of 13, directly beheld the face of Amitabha with his 2-fold retinue, as large as a mountain and magnificently splendid. He directly received empowerment and instructions. Once again, on the same day in the evening, he beheld the face of Amitabha and his retinue and received further instructions, as well as a prayer to recognize the dream state. Further, the Dharma of the Chronicles of Padma says, just as the difference between beer and water becomes clear when experiencing its taste, so will the power of the Dharma become clear when practiced. Since the practice of poa, according to this lineage, is extremely powerful, signs will occur even within the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. If you visualize clearly, you can be certain that signs will appear, such as your crowns swelling or blood emerging from it. Rijung Dorje Drogpa said in one of his songs, if you know how to spread the wings of the knowledge mantra, you will fly to the Pure Land. Thus, if you exert yourself in this practice, like an eagle soaring high in the sky, you will go to the Pure Land of Sukhavati after your body has perished. The Bhagavan said, it is a greater merit to join one's palms with faith in the Buddha Amitabha and Sukhavati for just an instant than it is to offer billions of universes filled with the 7 royal treasures. Hearing the name of Amitabha says, if one gives rise to faith with a sincere intention for only a moment, one will attain the state of no return, the state of unsurpassed awakening.
Dasam Jiang Buru Hong Ha Ha Ho Banga So Dada Gada Beda Bame Meza Beda Baba Ma Zama Sado Sawa Tata Angada Abe Kekade Samaya Rani Dolwa Sava Togo Ujun Hoda Ye Sojo Jida Jumbu Jin Danda No Kobai
And then think that in the sky in front of you is mainly in the center the Buddha Amitabha, surrounded by all the Buddhas of the 3 times, gathering like clouds. So think that all these Buddhas are here, and principally Amitabha. And so think that to these Buddhas pervading space, you're offering all the sentient beings, everything that exists, the entire outer universe and the inner sentient beings which are limitless. You offer them all up as a mandala offering, and then think that having made this offering, the 3 jewels, take all those beings into their care, and all sentient beings become separated from self-grasping, and then they attain the state of enlightenment. And so think that everyone has received this precious mind of bodhicitta. So now please offer a mandala.
Page 7 in the yellow prayer book. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body enjoyments and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devata Kini Ratna Mandala Prakticha Soha.
내려고 메다시 받으셨다. 단답을 곰장이 망고 요래. 되게 재미있게 곰방. 진짜 something 곰방 탐지 내려고 메다리. 이제 하장들이 피용치 뭘 곰장이 피용치에서 받에. 진짜 탐지를 팽겨요래. 내려고 메다리 곰장이다. 내려고 메다리.
And so this mandala offering is the mandala offering of the natural state. So in the world there are many of you who practice meditation, who meditate, who practice the 4 immeasurables. And for all of them, the mandala offering becomes an offering of the natural state. which really is of greatest benefit. That is why we say that meditation is so beneficial, because through it we can benefit all sentient beings. So the state of meditation is the offering of the mandala of the natural state.
The tapachim dolesung bari 강의들 탕직 삼티 텐쇼나 감성 만남라 소 세베는 대동체송 tapachim 도나 송로 bari.
In the Great Liberation Sutra, it says that it is of greater benefit to abide within a state of meditative absorption for a single session than it is to liberate the lives of all sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara.
들린다는 거다. 다소 왔다고 요데. 사실은 샘지 탐지되니 감성되는 시마치 이가데 식성이가 샘지 탐지되니 어디 최성 요만이 있었나 말이 샘지들이 로가로 상마제 받아 요 말이 그러니까 상제들이 또 사실이 좀 차서 요 말인데 상마제 받더니 더 봐도 가까는 소시만 통로마도 들이 샘지 레기지선 장도 요래 대외고서 록성 거 요래.
So now we come to the repeating of supplications. And so, as before, as we said, there's all those sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara. And so we are bringing to mind really both sentient beings who have disease and sentient beings who are alive. Even though one might say that the mind doesn't really die, they haven't died, but actually, until one attains enlightenment, the mind goes from life to life in the 6 realms of samsara. So we can't really say that also that they haven't. So there are those who are alive and those who have passed away until one attains enlightenment. And when one attains enlightenment, one becomes one with all the Buddhas. And so until then, there is this life and there's future lives and there is the bardo. And until then, the mind follows the karma that it has accumulated. So until then, there is this birth in the 6 realms of samsara. So therefore, we need to bring them to mind.
다 물바다고 다 샘지 섬지 피고도 서 고아선 되게 팽거요래 애들이 대회를 까비 게다벨 차증 찬나양 가서 샘지 섬지 냥도 작게 삼제 되더니 대회들이 상속 생고 반자들이 차증 찬는 3분 term만 전로서 되게 전로고에 고로 게다 강제는 변 고로 집에 가면더니 마고에서 또들라서 샘지 로해서 체들이 simply Lord, just of Senna, the death of the Ragayang, Dadi Shakro, something Chetam, Chivakalati, utility, Dadi Shakro, there, and Shrap the dog over the head.
So this bringing to mind is of sentient beings is really essential. So, for example, in the context of cultivating the relative bodhicitta, the most important practice is immeasurable love. And actually, the moment you think of sentient beings, of all sentient beings with love, you already have brought them to your mind. And even if you just have an aspiration to benefit all sentient beings, or you just understand that this is beneficial, even just that aspiration is very beneficial. So whatever virtue you practice, for example, if you just make a single prostration, now if you think that all the sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsaric existence are prostrating together, if you are prostrating with such a mind of bodhicitta, then actually a single prostration transforms into 100,000, many hundreds and thousands of prostrations. So whatever virtue you practice, you're meditating, you're practicing a deity, you bring to mind sentient beings in this way. For example, when you're visualizing the mantra garland of the deity, you visualize how the light rays issue forth and then gather back. So also here, bring to mind all sentient beings, because the more you bring them to mind, the more self-grasping will diminish. The more love you cultivate, the more self-grasping will diminish. And so this is something that should be realized with a mind of wisdom.
Lama Abao Mem Gong Zang Jin Re Zek Dang Te Chin Top Sang Ge Sang Sim Ma Me La Sorwa Dev So Wan Kor So.
In English, Alas, Guru, Protector Amitabha, Chinrizik, Vajrapani, and limitless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I supplicate you, please bestow empowerment upon me.
Lama
In the presence of this world, appearing as Sukhavati, the Guru who is Chenrizik, the tamer of beings, and the empowerment implements who are Amitabha and his retinue, think that you are receiving the refuge and bodhisattva vows by repeating the following.
Kuncho Sumla Da Jab Che Dekpa Mege So Sor Sha Rove Ge La Ji Yi Rang Sang Ge Sang Chab Yi Ji Zong Sang Ge Chu Zang Tom Cho La Sanchab Barda Jab Sir Chi Rang Yin Dong Ni Rab Drab Sir Sanchab Sem Ne Ki Bar Je Sanchab Cho Ki Sem Ne Ki Ji Ne Sem Ji Tham Je Da Kin Run De Nyer Sanchab Chu Cho Yi Ong Je Bar Ji Ro La Pin Sir Sang Je Dra Bar Yo.
I take refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds and non-virtues. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings and shall hold the Buddha's awakening in mind until attaining awakening. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhicitta, having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening. I welcome all beings. I will engage in the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
탐지는 탐들이 잡아보는 마음도 그 소리를 못 장식 탐송상 됐다고서 고 맥도는 고 쇼지.
And then in an instant, visualize self and others as the Buddha Amitabha. If you can visualize it, otherwise you can also visualize at your heart red, 3-syllable, red like the sun. And just focus your mind single-pointedly and be without distraction. And so close your eyes and just imagine how from the sky many different forms of Amitabha, large and small, fall down like rain falling down, and then dissolve into the entire universe and all sentient beings. So think that one by one, all these Amitabhas dissolve into your body. So meditate in this way and close your eyes.
Babi Basasona, Kava, Yelksabis, Roman, Medivara, better Samayan down, Medivara, better Samayan down, Jana Vija, Medivara, Jana Vija, Medivara, Jana Avija, Medivara, Jana Medivara, Medivara, Jana Vija, Medivara, Jana Avija, Medivara, Jana Teta Siva Bay, Shiva, in Sanjong, Sobja Barda, Manamja Tebar Savage, Tebar Tishambe, the Nankani Yasu Hadong and the Joang and the Fly, but Tari, Joang, Taman, Yatung, the Sharing were territory that maybe Chiso Shiva did in Joang, I can't nay or Zubo, the Sel really, Joang, I can't Taman nay or 대외들이 최고기 받들이 사몽가들이 독일들이 선거요들이 다 최고고들이 중앙마을 사몽을 남발하더니 그 탐지랑 탐송 잡아는 이제는 들이 사몽 탑지게 나다종 마체범종 체범반을 체들서 이제다 다종 들이 탐지라 다트 칼때 들은 다다리 용들이 최초그 오전 간로만 하게 됐다고 본 거래지.
The subtle essence, the vital essences of the 5 elements appears in the sky in the form of 5-colored rainbow lights, a 5-color rainbow. Actually, a rainbow appearing in the sky is actually a sign of the deity. It is a sign of the subtle the subtle essence of, or the pure essence of the 5 elements. So the pure essence of the 5 elements manifests as rainbows in the sky. And also a person's life and life force is related to the subtle, pure essence of the 5 elements, because the body of a person is composed of the 5 elements. So therefore, one also is connected to the pure essence of the 5 elements. And so next here in the empowerment, there is a drawing in of life force, and that is performed by the 5 different goddesses who appear out of compassion and who then draw in the pure vital essences of the 5 elements. And so then, having drawn in those vital essences, these vital essences then dissolve into the entire universe and all beings like rain falling down. So these goddesses hold in their hands silken arrows, and by waving them, they are drawing in longevity and so forth. And so they also playing the Dhamma and so on. So then think that what they're drawing in is the nectar that increases the longevity and the life force of all sentient beings.
Tiata Dakana Haranasa Mama Aya said the Pala Brungoroyozo. Papa, the sir, body up about Zawazana Meba Nang. Zawazana Meba, Toyam Badibanwa. Chawa, Hade, Goya Divativa, Pasashika, Kajiban, and the Trakayatilla. Yela, Jay, Chase, some near the Divaji, Japan, also Melon, so he's a Sarve, Mammy, as wasn't your college, the Jim Pop. Journey, Baby, Chen, John, Joe, Humble, Joe, the Chicago, the Ball of Chicago, and you got Chicago, the Article, Gentleman, and Caucasian. She did the Debugan, Drabayo, Talk, one year, Drabaja, Talk, 1year, Talk, you move the Baba, the Bango, no, the little time we bucket, the little Bazine, Teresa, a John, one girl, the little only. Money, the thousand level, so the Chicago, the Ball, Money, the top tree, the Sayaba with the top the woman level, the summer child, the Dr. Kadoma, the council, the Chapa, the Nita, select the statue also, the Congo.
So then the empowerment is conferred by these goddesses. So these goddesses are holding vases which are filled with longevity, nectar. And so then with these vases they confer empowerment. So by pouring the nectar into one's crown, and through the crown the nectar enters the central channel and then moves down through your crown chakra, the great bliss chakra, and then to the throat chakra, the enjoyment chakra, and so forth. All the chakras through the central channel are pervaded, and one's body is filled with millions of channels, and when the nectar flows through the central channel, then naturally all these channels become pervaded by the nectar. So just think that now my body has become pervaded by this 5 colored rainbow-like nectar, which now fills up my entire body. So, and then also think that at all times the deity shower down these blessings from space.
가동아 그 충충 되니 용접담을 되니 장외바 차바바나지 내랑 내가 탐통송 공고리 내 하자도 다 지버리 이신아지 레레랑 앙앙이 쳤잖아 그래서 건강 문화주로 지는 요리 이신아지 레레 쳤잖아 되니 양요리 이 밤에 양 소상진 양콩을 되니 소상진 조임에 되니 고송 통된 체가 막장아이 다니지 일변에서 타마바 좋았으니 속타 차지라지 성대 요리 용왕아의 성대 용왕아의 성대 오늘 낭 샘들이 유무망아 요리 샘들이 나 이시가 성자 이시가 성가를 유무망아래 유무망아데 매일의 시간은 저도 마음에서 내가 고아차 뒤다르더니 나 밤에 쭈불거리더니 자와 렘바 년가 때와 상의 제간에 되어 봐가 다시 고송 토요일 저희 nga 자리가 사지를 양nga 상거를 뒤다래 이거 주래.
For the form empowerment, you should visualize that then from the Buddha Amitabha's 5 places, which is the forehead, throat, heart, navel, and secret chakra, white, red, blue, yellow, and green forms of Amitabha, very small forms of Amitabha emerge, limitless forms like little mustard seeds emerge, and then they dissolve into your 5 places. And that actually is extremely meaningful. So the 5 wisdoms, each of those 5 wisdoms can be combined. So then we have 25 wisdoms. That's also explained in the Samantha Bhaddha prayer if you read it. And so we can further combine these so they become more. But then also we say in the Western direction, the principal Buddha is the Buddha Amitabha, and he himself is an embodiment of those 5, of enlightened body, speech, mind activities, and qualities. And so even an ordinary sentient being, like a tiny little creature, like a little animal, possesses the seeds that are the 5 elements. And because they possess those 5 elements, they also possess the 5 afflictive emotions within their mind. And the 5 afflictive emotions within their mind are actually the seeds of the 5 wisdoms. That is, if they ripen into the 5 wisdoms. If they do not ripen, then temporarily one wanders in samsara. So now here only from one form of Buddha Amitabha, think that from those 5 places, forms of Amitabha manifest, and each of these 5 places is also connected to those 5 qualities of enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. So this actually is a sign or like an introduction to the fact that within a single Buddha, all these 5 qualities are complete.
이 유몽가데 요리 인적 민적 이 시간에 사오는데 줄에 요리 나다 이 시간 주소로 요리 가리잖아 다소도 유몽들 앞상 문진 거래 배나 이 배를 다데 미로 뭐 유몽한데 다데 미나 가리 미고요나 sana 다 장게 다 다리 또 따와 하고네 라게 셈 사통 하고 라게 셈 내려오고 하고나 제당 나오고 깔면더니 다 유모밭에 문제네 따와택 제당에 톡라 이 제당을 토와도 판 매번 전에 이 셈싸워 가고 차로요래 다들이 오 유몽실 다 제당 토하면도 당연히 시 미들이 비요래 민들이 말아베 고바 양용다게 와서 유몽가들이 얘들한테 싫어도 톡라 그래서 퍼바냐면 뭐다 저게 관시 퍼바서 얘도 당연히 민지 독서들이 소소소랑 이치게 this date our Gongorete, Nimonga the Rege, the Sharp took the Nimonga the Sharp of Ingo, Sharp the main our Nimonga the Passion our head.
So, of these 5 of body, speech, mind activities and qualities, body is related to ignorance, speech to attachment, and mind to anger or hatred. And hatred is the one afflictive emotion that is really the most powerful in the minds of all sentient beings. And so if one possesses the 5 afflictive emotions, then certainly one possesses the seeds of the 5 wisdoms. So this is also why we say you possess the 5 wisdoms within you. So that having been said, then should cause you to instantly recognize the afflictive emotions whenever they arise. And knowing that when they ripen, they actually are wisdom. So you recognize, I have these afflictive emotions, and how can they ripen? How can I mature them? You can ripen them through realizing the view, which means to realize the nature of your mind, the clear and empty nature of your mind. It means to recognize the nature of your awareness. So for example, when anger arises, you must instantly recognize this affliction. So the affliction of anger is met with the view, met with awareness. And that leads to the diminishing of the anger. So there is no feeling even left behind. And then the mind will become the mind that remains then is extremely clear and joyful. So then you gain this experience, oh, this is how afflictions are wisdom. Now there is no feeling of this anger left behind. Now I have really matured the affliction into wisdom. Milarepa had said that meditation practice must be infused with experience. So when each of the 5 afflictive emotions arises, you meet them, you encounter them in this way with awareness. For example, in the Vajrakilaya, this is referred to as the wisdom awareness kilaya. So when you gain an experience in this, you will develop trust. I really can ripen, mature these afflictive emotions. So then every time one of those 5 afflictions arises, you meet them with wisdom, with awareness. And it's this awareness that causes them to mature, to ripen. This wisdom awareness is like fire, and the afflictive emotions are like wood.
Torma de Tadshi, Jedi, Tambo, Jaye Kant Shibat, the Ripat of Lari Shibat, Sumarin Kubar Shibat, you are Mudu Shibat, the Thomas Visan Sin, the manner of the data, Thomasin is all your authority, Yunwu, Doctor, manner of the Salary, the veteran, one of the Thomas the Shigeto. Torma non già quattro giorni la pauca rotta dentro un cibo ramgite in corso Torma da pampata in chutin da di cibari o
And so this empowerment is a Dharma empowerment. So the empowerment is conferred based on the Dharma, and the Dharma possesses 4 characteristics that we always mention. So number 1, the Dharma represents the boundless palace. Number 2, the Dharma represents the deity itself. Number 3, the Dharma also represents the offering. And number 4, the Dharma represents the siddhi. So the siddhi is obtained at the end when we eat part of the dough of the Dharma. And so instead of that, you can eat these mani pills, the blessing pills, which are just like eating part of the Dharma. And these blessing pills, these mani pills, have been consecrated, practiced with for a long time, and then they're distributed so we can eat them. So you can eat one of your blessing pills. So the Torma has those 4 characteristics, and by merely placing a Torma into your home, for example, the deities, dakas and dakinis, they will naturally come staying there, like staying in a big hotel. And the Torma and a vase and a stupa all have the same meaning. And so the mind empowerment is conferred through the Vajra, because the Vajra is an example, an illustration of the mind. So the entire mind empowerment is included within the Vajra. And so the Vajra possesses 5 upper prongs, which represent the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and the 5 lower prongs or points represent the 5 mothers, the consorts. And then there is also the 8 bodhisattvas and the 8 bodhisattvas complete within the Vajra. So all the qualities of the mind are complete within the Vajra. And so it is therefore from its heart that this birth in Devachan arises. So the Vajra is an example of the mind and therefore represents the mind empowerment and has many different meanings. So mainly the Vajra is the mind that is beyond birth and death. So the actual Vajra is mind and represents Vajradhara, who represents the state that is beyond birth and death. When one realizes that, then there is no more birth and death. When one doesn't realize the mind, then many sentient beings constantly experience the appearance of birth and death continuously. When one achieves the state of the Buddha Vajradhara, one transcends birth and death. So if you just simply understand that is important in itself, just to know that the real nature of the mind transcends birth and death.
Melong di pa, melong di pe, kani se pe nam kari, o sem nam kari che pe se. Dili naban hatu charong ge sem korang tini chasa melong di nam kari che se me wata de, che se me basa nam kari che se me wata testa hako na, dili hako toku yore, o sem korang nam kari tawa re es. Dili melari pe sem nam kari tawa hako na tini chaji gira hako yore eso.
And so the Vajra represents the natural state of the mind. There's the Vajra-like absorption. And so understanding that is not just knowing that there's this kind of thing that's the Vajra, that means it is the mind. That's just kind of like a understanding through reason, an intellectual understanding. To really understand it means that you recognize the true nature of the afflictive emotions that arise. When you recognize them, what you experience is this quality of clarity. And that is quality in the mind that is also referred to as the mirror-like wisdom. So you should understand the mind to be like a mirror. Another example of the mind is it is like space. It is not separate from space. Or like in a mirror, various reflections can become reflected. Or like space, because it is beyond birth and death. So when you understand that, you really understand the meaning of the Vajra of the mind. Then you know that mind is indivisible from space. And Milarepa had said, when you realize that mind is inseparable from space, then you have really understood the point of freedom from conceptual elaborations.
어들이 더 롱주 더 빼래더니 내 사제가 롱지 디나더니 들이 또담들이 딱 걸어 봐 버더니 됐다 이 시기도 담면 암지가 롱지는 타면 거여서 롱지 비용이 받아들이 들이 가서 생기 탐지가 사제 줄걸 빼겠다 들이 롱지 다 아침 보이봐 들이 이는 나는 시험나요 들이 나는 록제 주 탐제들이 저들이 저러고요 미니 저러고 better than major recital logic look to me the quality logic touch for Sanjig took it on one of
So then the implement of the Buddha Amitabha, the Sambhogakaya, is this begging bowl, and so this begging bowl is extremely precious. All the deities continuously make offerings to this bowl, and the contents are that then whatever offering is made to the bowl transforms into the content, which is wisdom nectar. So that is the benefit of the kind of preciousness of a begging bowl. Also, all the sentient beings in the three realms constantly make offerings to the Buddhas. And when they make offerings, all of these offerings actually go into this begging bowl. And that is why the begging bowl is considered to be so precious. So if you put one up at your home, you can think that all the contents within this bowl are nectar or are medicine. For example, just like the precious pill, Tibetan medicine, when that is consecrated, when these pills are consecrated, they are actually first placed into one of those begging bowls, and then they are consecrated. So the begging bowl is considered to be extremely precious and a representation of all the Buddha's, the power of all the Buddha's compassionate aspirations.
drum so 비자거나 부인거나 아베케도 이거를 보조라 체르드 예스마에 조이도 조거는데 오다진의 체인배죠 아미디와 아야서들 아미디와 아야서들 바로도 있는 거 체르드들이 사말 때에 오래더니 드리트도라는 게 이송데 드리트발이
So now Rinpoche is adding the longevity pill into the begging bowl, and so all of you should think that, so now Rinpoche is taking this pill from the bowl, and you think that you all take one, you all eat one.
Amitabha ayasada Amitabha ayasada Amitabha Amitabha ayasada Amitabha ayasada Amitabha Amitabha ayasada Amitabha ayasada Amitabha ayasada Amitabha the home Amitabha Amitabha the home Amitabha the home Amitabha the home Amitabha the home 또 사망을 쫓고 나 배쇼
Please all come into my belly.
내가 가라 담아치도 하고요.
Then I get used food to eat.
다 되거든요. 다 사진 것을 특징 삼았더니 임베들이 다 사진이 용되나더니 다 사진 거도 봐 상제를 가지더니 다 the high almost somewhat judging the Tonka yes, George, but Rashiba Taji, this Haji Gola, Saja Sekoi on the Sangayori. The Nichi Bumolima Taji, Kajala, so what Rashiba Japan, this South Tenzin Gelatini, people that they want to go to the Rashiba J, Latini, Saja Nangori. The Nitella, the Treaty Justice, Saje of Tommy Senti Tonsebala, Treaty Justice was Tommy Bena, Malari Justice Tower, the Tommy, the Senti Maze was the Tendi, Sanje Maze and Chile Junjon, the Rashiba J, the J, Justice not doing some. This station got one, the Debriore, the Romato Chile, Progrose.
And so now we really have all the kind of conducive conditions in order to actually accomplish Buddhahood, the qualities of a Buddha. And so then when the Buddha himself actually attained enlightenment, after he had attained enlightenment, he was made different offerings with requests to teach the Dharma. For example, the god Brahma offered him a conch shell turning to the right, and 8 auspicious symbols were offered. And so actually all of these qualities, whatever was offered to the Buddha, are offered because these substances or symbols are a quality that are complete within the Buddha's body on the external level. And then also 8 auspicious substances were offered, such as the yogurt offered by a girl and so on. So all of these substances that were offered because they're those kind of substances that are of benefit for sentient beings. So these were offered to the Buddha, who is like the king in the kingdom of the Dharma. When one attains enlightenment, one attains this kingdom of the Dharmakaya and then acts for the benefit of sentient beings. This is just like Milarepa's Dharma kingdom. And then once having attained this kingdom, the enlightened activities of the Buddhas will continuously manifest for as long as sentient beings exist. So these qualities of a Buddha are represented by the 8 auspicious symbols, the 8 auspicious substances, the 7 royal attributes, and so on. So there is an empowerment of these various symbols and substances, 3 levels of empowerments that I offer to the disciples also for the sake of interdependence. And so then this circling mantra garland. So today you have recognized, during the empowerment today, you have recognized the Deity. And so then you practice the Deity by practicing the 4 branches of approach and accomplishment, where you first recognize the Deity, And then again and again you practice the deity, which is then like becoming friends with the deity. And at the end you become inseparable, non-dual from the deity. And that is the point where you are then able to accomplish the enlightened activities of the deities. So it is through the 4 branches of approach and accomplishment that the benefit, these enlightened activities are accomplished. And that's also the reason why we have to recite many hundreds and thousands of mantras, because the qualities of these activities comes from practicing the mantra. Also in the Amitabha sadhana, there is the visualization where we visualize the Buddha Amitabha in front of us, and the mantra garland emerges from his navel or heart in the form of a garland of lights, which then enters your mouth and so forth. And so in this way, the mantra garland circles continuously between yourself and Amitabha. So this is how we practice Amitabha in general. And then also in the sadhana, there is the ultimate Amitabha, where it says, aside from one's own self-knowing awareness, there is no other Amitabha. So this is what you realize as you gradually purify more and more of your obscurations. And then when they become completely purified, you realize that your own Buddha nature and the Buddha Amitabha are actually indivisible. Then there is no more dualistic perception. Your mind and the deity's mind have merged inseparably. So all of that is in our sadhana. It explains how Amitabha is actually our own mind. And so accomplishing that is, of those 4 branches, the great accomplishment, where one realizes that this is the mind of all sentient beings. So that is accomplished through the mantra recitation of the deity, the Om Mani Deva Shri mantra.
Om Papo Kata, Papa Jonah, Papa Java, DJ Shu, Malay, Koto, me, Poyatic Lade, 2 Pago Kayan Kala, Meva, Java, 2 Kala, 2 doors, Pong Java, Marie, Java, Mari, the Poyatic, that you Pango, Chang, Java, Mercurius, Kayan Meva did it. They started to check the Tumula. Then Tati Javo Tedagatini, Kabu Shotana Yomare, Tata. Oh, Tamalari with Jasi, the Zabel in the Malaipa, the Kaju Yom to Toba, Kaju Cheja Chongji, Tama Yanchong Ide, Kaju, the Rita Maboyo, Tika Nemdo, Sermante, the Kaju, no Kaju, but they say the Yang Soso Tana, Malari, Romari, they say our Chidi Jasi, this also get any David Chulati, Chidi Jasi, they don't top the sentient tone, the little joke and somebody, the seat Namka, they pata, watch the seat, they jerva. They see that on a journey road on several so awesome. Should just see that our top go already.
That's it up, Yamare. That's it up, Gira. Yeah. So there are the eight auspicious symbols. And so there's a story about Milarepa, and he was meditating in Nepal. And at that time, there was a Nepali king, Kataya, and he wanted to invite Milarepa to come visit his palace. And he sent some messengers to escort Milarepa. And Milarepa refused to go. And then the messengers said to Milarepa, "You are a beggar. You better go, because if you go, the king might give you some food. You have no food." And Milarepa said, "He is not the king, I am the king," because he is the king of the Dharma. And then the messengers said that you are a beggar, you're not a king. But actually, when we really think about the meaning of those words, now we can see not even the ruins of that king's palace are left behind today. But Milarepa's Dharma kingdom still exists. Throughout the world, everyone knows Milarepa, and everyone in the Kagyu tradition follows Milarepa, whichever lineage it is, a larger, a smaller, or a middling. We give it different names, like the Nedok or the Surmang and so forth. We just give it different names, but really they are all disciples of Milarepa. So such is the Dharma kingdom of Milarepa. Through practicing the Dharma, one attains such a Dharma kingdom. In the Bodhicharya Vatara, it says that for however long space remains, however long sentient beings will remain, likewise I will remain in order to clear away the suffering of sentient beings. So this is the kind of kingdom of the Dharma that has to be attained.
Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Rinpoche Chöje Varajawaye Nasi Wangda Jardea Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Rinpoche Chöje Varajawaye Nasi Wangda Jardea Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Rinpoche Chöje Varajawaye Gabje Julachi Jardea Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Rinpoche Chöje Varajawaye Darjoche Varachanlejang Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Tamchodeyene Chöje Varajawaye Dongzhi Tseje Churbanejang Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Norva Makbundeyene Chöje Varajawaye Drabge Tsarchochanlejang Tseyarenze Tobayo Amitabha Abhikendava Abhikendava Tisum Sabbath, Tisum Sabbath, get a church of what I'm done. That you want to give it to us, some of the watch in the church, some bachilla. They did reach the somebody. Tisum Sabbath gave what I'm saying. Simply Tomji, the artist, judge or three, Mosasaji, that logo.
So I'm thinking, all these roots of virtue accumulated in the 3 times become the cause of birth in Devotion for all sentient beings. We will read together the short Devotion prayer that starts with Abao. It's in the yellow prayer book on page 31.
In the center is the wondrous Buddha of boundless light. To his right is Chenrezig, the Lord of great compassion, and to his left is Vajrapani, the Bodhisattva of great might. They are surrounded by an inconceivable assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Immeasurable peace and happiness is the pure land of great bliss. When I and all beings pass from this life, may we be born in that land unhindered by another samsaric birth, and may we then behold the face of Amitabha, boundless light. May all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions bless this aspiration that it may be accomplished without hindrance. Tayata Pancha Griya Ava Bodha Naye Swoha.
내 제공 사파도 매바에 대와 제제 사회 연가데 나는 내내 세배절마사에 제와 진짜발마셔봐 내래체내 남대장동요 세계 다게 몰라다만데 소제성제 상세당제제 금민저발생절라다 디아도 번도래야 아와보다나에 소와 어제다 왕통네 나르잡이 zon래 너는 이제 서로는 대화 지제적인 대나도 보사지 적대 위적과 세바미 세계대에 지대와 대내대의 기원적 저부터도 도반의 결혼께는 계된 통수 다들 사지 좀 되는 그 나르잡이 zon래 숨말에 사지 좀 되는 그 숨말에 되니 너는 네 피용도 되니 숨을 다지 못해 사지 찾아서 숨말에
So this prayer that Rinpoche just recited came from the time of when the Buddha was the King Aryabhata, and explains the benefits of Devotion. And the one who then spoke this prayer is very precious. It's the Buddha Shakyamuni.
랭모도 모도 영어당 힘바 제제 대양 무시다 사제 우바드미 바로 산타로 고보체 바드미 바로 산타로 인트코리 정도 되어지도 지와쇼 대마차바 저더세나 바도 밤이 샤리 자르체 되어지도 지와네 사제 밤이 영어죠 모름제 또 임베 사제 삭자서 너데 마보리서 뭐 서로 이저요에
Raptang Ding, kare shamba hako sang Raptang Ding.
자서
Raptang Ding Rapjare, tani Ding.
ring 예시
Tani Tana Jigra.
자리 ring 예시 타마 드림 맞아 드림 예사오노
Tama Dure.
저거가 간이 요거다 네 저거가 간이 야는데 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
So for the Samaya on how much we have to practice the Amitabha mantra, so it says in the empowerment text that ideally you recite 100 of these mantras every day, or 21, or at least, or you practice the sadhana extensively, and if you don't know any of that, at least you can recite 7 mantras, which is 5 fingers and 2 fingers. And so it's very easy, you get only 7, and with a prayer to be born in Devotion. And it is said if you do that every day, without skipping a day, then in the bardo, after you have died, you will see the form of Amitabha, and then you will, through the power of Amitabha's aspiration, you will be born in Devotion. So actually, the benefits of that are explained by the Buddha in several sutras.
잠깐선 거요래 메소서 게게 되는 거기서 콤바 짜니 오마래 뭐좀만 이제 내가 제거래 애들이 내가 맞이를 또 거요래 옛날들이 따따따 바까 소소소게 되니 냠도 로마 소도 소게 되니 다 볼다다 다 간이나 다 고쳐요래 근데 더 좋아বে 감이 되니 냠도 또나 되니 멈저리 말에 게드이 바예 냠도 소나 되니 게드이 데데 이 게드이 또 가리는 되니 정성을 사제게 게드이 초과 하다 같이 버리 배용치 버리 또 치모요래 들이 대회는 들이 다다 가사가니 강리 초나 저렇게 가래 연바 들이 밤이 저과리 깝들인 신성도 저다 들이 때려 속죠 들이 때려 속죠 들이 너는 지시랑 또 공나들이 배용 삼점 잡아 요래 들이 락바도 다다다 내게 깝아 됐다더라 들이 내 목총주 깝아데 됐다 사제의 우선 말이 시적 말이 유머마디 세당도 차도 니래 그 다른 제부터 매연 거요래 다다 가사 소소 차잖아 라주를 용고 세당도 차도도 하자 숙치 버리 참아 내 수직에 말 나는 세상 차도 제거래 된 잠은 김투글에 차고래 근데 다 연구요래 이때들이다 초바탑들 쇼트바들 기치 모요래 이 정도는 나랑 소소거든이 이거들이 어빠면 친장 대들이 네 다자는 로는 이 뭐하시로 그래 이 뭐하들이 사족스바 들이 선지 자는 들이 사지 제요 송거래 사족스바 데이터들이 개념 받아 제게 되는 소로들이 야또 쳐버리 계단 결쳐버리 별배향 강을 적과다고 자꾸 요래 초과를 주적기 치모요래 데이터 저 냐베 들이라는 게 들이 대지지 소위치다 가서가 데이터 장에 인도리 지지죠 들이 왕태는 접송아 데이터 들어가 밤에 왕
So then when it comes to practicing and mantra recitation, we often don't have time because we have to work and we live a samsaric life, so people have to work all the time like ants running around busily. But if you don't work, and you will be hungry, so you have to work. And so therefore, it's good to at times come together at your Dharma centers and join the group practices. The group practice of the Amitabha, which actually is practiced everywhere around the world now. We have always done it in Tibet, and now it's been started all over the place. And it is said that if you practice together with an assembly of Sangha, then the virtues are multiplied by 100,000 times, because if only 4 Sangha members come together, we speak about community, an assembly of Sangha. And the Buddha had said that the assembly of Sangha is very powerful. It is very necessary and very beneficial for a Sangha to come together. So the benefit is increased when the Sangha comes together and you practice with them. So therefore we have this retreat all over the place now. And whenever you can, it would be good to participate in these retreats. Amitabha is practiced also throughout many different lineages, all the lineages. It's always the same Amitabha. In whichever tradition you practice Amitabha. And so it is of great benefit to join those retreats. And even if you just rejoice in the retreat itself, the benefits of that already are inconceivable. Especially nowadays where we are in the midst of an age of disease. The Buddha spoke about 3 ages, the age of disease, weapons or war and famine. And so now we are in this age of disease, and we shouldn't think that, oh, they did it. But actually it's a creation of our own afflictive emotions, of our own anger and jealousy. And that karma is now coming to maturation, to ripening. So when you look into the mind of one person, of yourself, everybody has anger and jealousy, strong anger and jealousy. It's so no one that made that, no one that did that to us, but it's our own anger, our own jealousy within our own mind. And what's happening in the world now is the ripening of the collective karma of the people in the world. So that is why this is happening, and therefore it's even more so important to join such retreats. And if you can't, then sometimes at home you can recite some Amitabha mantras, and also there are the recordings, and if you have that, then you can do your own dedication. Actually, it is said that it is good to be in a group also because within an assembly of 100 people, there is one bodhisattva. So it's good to practice in an assembly of Sangha because that becomes very powerful and it increases the virtue that you practice. For example, it's just like putting your money into a bank where it's safe. So it's very important to join these practices, and so thinking that I am going to engage in this practice please repeat the following lines, which we will just do in English, which is the Samaya tune, and this then completes the empowerment of the Buddha Amitabha.
그래서 저당 담책 가시게 오다 담책 고요 고소라 시커가 제가 완전히 담책 됐던 것도 제 맞아서 되는 라서 얘는 제제는 담책 망보 요리데 송 두고 말이 송 특별히 라들 배워 요 말이 저는 담책 참고 권초선 저 담책의 중방 용地 접라메송 타는 기아의 소차 차들을 드는 소차 가지 차도 이제 봤다는 대는 이제 봐 추첨을 노반 나리는 별로 특급 땅방을 추첨대라고 해서 너는 노발은 다다 빠졌대 담책대 저도 어디라 노바들 배바 접저대 이노 이렇게 방은 소탈 입이 이제로 사동 상거요래 대저도 셔도고 요래 잡지도 만나나 대 요래 대 다낭 제약이 쳐버래 상하 다낭 그 랑저 이 소장 하서 담책됐잖아 요래 이 주도는 바들이 샤자다시 델렉쇼에 이거 소리를 돌려드린 것은 그래서 따뜻한 무슨 깨고 요래 속통거리 니 속들이 딱 걸이 요래들이 가디는 제시용 말에 깨자데 딱 걸이 요래들이 가디 용어도나 요래들 대대 좀 말이 삼용 말 때문에 우리 고바가데 요티가 차야 속 요티지다 자 요티지지 요래 속 용지에 요 말이 다다데 고 말이 대대 대다데 로마탑지에 이 아메데베 드치들 쇼야 아들이랑 초코스 메토메나 제 자자가로야 끼쳐 보여래 이 다시 델렉셔에 이제.
And so for this Samaya, people have actually said to me, for example, that we really have to know what the Samaya is, and so you gave this empowerment, but you didn't tell us what the Samaya is clearly. People say that, but actually, there's really so many Samayas, and we cannot keep them all. So if we can't keep them, then there's really no point in mentioning them all. But in general, there is this common Samaya, and it is said that you must make an effort in acquiring good qualities and abandoning faults. So for example, even the slightest virtuous action, such as giving a little bit of food to a very small little animal, that is a virtue that should be practiced. Or when it comes to discipline, to just abandon one harmful action, to, for example, give up harsh words toward others. Even just doing that is abandoning faults. And abandoning all faults is really our vow. So abandon all faults and accomplish benefit. In our refuge card, it says that the essence of the Pratimoksha, or individual liberation, is to abandon harming others and its cause. And the essence of the Bodhisattva path is to accomplish the benefit of others and its cause. We always mention that. And then also, a pure perception is very important. A pure perception is the path of the secret mantrayana. So in the refuge, actually, those 3 levels of vows are already complete. And so today, Dharma friends, I'm very happy to see you. We see each other. We actually see each other. We see each other's actual body. We hear each other's actual voice, the actual speech. Because that kind of body that you see today on the screen, that body will always be there. It is beyond birth and death. And this speech that you hear is always going to be there. Whenever you want to listen to it, you can listen to it. It's there. So don't think that this is not real. This is not like really meeting. And so that's the quality of the Holy Dharma. That is what we recognize as a real quality, the real quality of form and the real quality of speech, of sound. So it's not about the actual meeting and so on. And so then, in any case, disciples, please join the Amitabha retreat. And even if you just recite 1 mala round, and please submit your mantra recitations on the website. So many dashi dele to you.
왜냐면 모아시 받는데 소소를 첫 답에 강마도 오면은 대 잡진을 여기야나 들이 잡도한테 맞아야 받을 들이 소치쳐 이런 통주를 빼대서 야처럼 망볼 로주 조걸 게다지 대다고 차로 게다지 다도 좀 어떻게 게다지 그 저예성 게다 없는지 망는지 네 로바기는지 로발훈은지 게다지 저주 게다지 졸라로 또들이 세상도 차도를 들이 게다 졸라로 그래야지.
And dedication is very important. For example, it's like if you only have a small cup of water, but if you pour it into the vast ocean, then your water will be there until there is no more ocean, and you can always keep drinking that water. It's always there. So in many lifetimes in the future, you will be able to continuously enjoy the fruits of the virtues that you have practiced. So on the other hand, if we do not dedicate, so there is 4 causes, 4 things that cause our roots of virtue to become destroyed. The first one is if you feel arrogant or prideful about the virtue. Second is if you do not dedicate. Third is if you regret the virtue. And fourth is if you perform a corrupt dedication. In those cases, the roots of virtue accumulated will become spoiled. But it's mainly what really spoils our roots of virtue is hatred or anger and jealousy. We do the Bodhicitta prayer in the prayer book on number 30. May Bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Everyone, please join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We will begin our practice session, and Garchen Rinpoche will give teachings during the mantra accumulation.
Tomorrow.
I'm just on a